Hey guys, welcome to Bitcoin or Bust, my YouTube series about cryptocurrency in the 21st century. So today we're going to talk about what is Chia. So Chia is a new cryptocurrency that the inventor of Bittorrent created and has been working on for the last almost 3 years. So Bram had this idea that the current state of cryptocurrency was not great. And even with the traction that Bitcoin has kind of taken over in mainstream culture today, and its traction and growth just in the last year, he thought there could be something with higher upsides and fewer downsides. So he set out to create a totally new consensus algorithm that he calls proof of space and time. Let's talk about what makes Chia unique to Bitcoin, kind of some of its defining characteristics. So Chia was built on this, what Bram has created. I mean, he invented this proof of space and time. Now, other people had been working on it previously, but no one had quite cracked it. And so Bram and his team basically cracked the algorithm for what they call proof of space and time. How this works is instead of the sprint, instead of it being a sprint to create the fastest, most optimized to break these mathematical puzzles, Chia still relies on a consensus, meaning it's still decentralized, it still relies on full nodes, the full ledger on every single full node. So it has all those same trademarks of Bitcoin. But what makes it unique is how efficient it is on all the other aspects. So instead of proof of work, i.e. the fastest sprinter possible, Chia works on the principle of you plot, and there's all these like analogies with farming. So you plot to start, and what plotting is essentially you're creating what a better analogy for Chia would be your bingo board. So if you've ever been to a bingo hall, the really professional bingo players have many cards. And the idea behind this, right, is the more cards you have, the more opportunities for bingos that you now have set yourself up for. So it's all about statistics, meaning in bingo, it's the more cards I have, the more opportunities to win. It doesn't mean I will win, it just means I have more opportunities for every number called. So Chia is more apt in that analogy. So you plot, which is basically equivalent of using your computer to create bingo cards. You create, and they're very large. So you use existing hard drive or you use space. That's where the space of this algorithm comes into play. So I take this huge hard drive. So let's say I have this 16 terabyte hard drive, and then I plot on this hard drive in specific sizes of these plots. So in this case, the plots are about 102 gigabytes. So for every 102 gigabyte plot, I get, thousands of bingo cards in the analogy. So what happens is I do this in advance of actual farming. So I create all these plots, and then once I've created these plots, and I need to have a certain percentage of the entire network. So right now, at launch on March 19th, there was about 100 petabytes. So that's 100,000 terabytes of plots, which is mind-boggling that it was that large from day one. But today, we're almost approaching 300 petabytes. So just, again, 300,000 terabytes. I mean, that's just crazy how quickly the network has grown. But to go back to the analogy is that I want to have enough to be competitive, meaning statistically, going back to statistics. So a little crash course here on statistics. Statistics are the way that data falls over time. So meaning if I have one lottery ticket, so the lotto is often the example used for understanding statistics. So if I buy one lotto ticket and the total amount of distribution of lotto tickets is let's say 100 million, just for the sake of discussion. So 100 million tickets versus my one. So then my probability of winning is 0.00001%, meaning yes, could I win? Technically it would be possible, but my probability, meaning the likelihood, is so low. But on the flip side, let's say I went out and bought 10 million lotto tickets. then I still am not guaranteed to win, but now my probability has gone exponentially. But there was a cost to that. The one lotto ticket's $1, 10 million, $10 million, right? So I'm wagering 10 million against whatever the lotto is. Let's say it's 40 million. So you get the picture. The same thing is true with Chia and plotting and farming. So I have to spend money, right, potentially to get more plots. So I have to buy more 16 terabyte hard drives or more 8 terabyte or 18 terabyte hard drives, and then I want to fill them up as much as possible. But I really just want to keep in mind the percentage of the network space. So in my case, what I decided to do was I set a number of 24 terabytes, which is equivalent to, let's say, about 240 plots for argument's sake. So my 240 terabytes is moderately competitive if the network space stays below 240 petabytes, right? I'm maintaining a 0.01% of the entire net space, and that gives me competition, meaning I can compete with the rest of the people who have different amounts of space because I have at least 0.01%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but still puts me fairly competitive. And what I've found is at that rate, I've essentially gotten a Chia every other day for the time that the network has been active. So just to give you a sense of how much Chia to your investment. So, but that investment has come with a price, right? So I had to invest a certain amount to get to that kind of ratio. And for me, to maintain 0.01%, it's been about, $5,500. So that was my kind of upfront investment into Chia. And so that was kind of what I had planned. Actually, when I was following Bram about 2.5 years ago, when I saw he was starting a cryptocurrency, I had a sense that whatever he was going to do next was going to be successful. And so I wanted to keep tabs, essentially. And so as I was watching what he was doing, as I saw kind of how this Chia was developing, I really trust that even if I don't end up making money from this Chia endeavor, I think Bram is someone you bet on. He's pretty well known in those circles. He has lots, not only he's very influential, but he also knows the right people. He has a good sense of not just taste, but when it comes to technology, he seems to know the right waves to ride. And so because of that, and he's just very, very intelligent, and he's able to do things other people can't do. I've been equating him with like the Elon Musks of our generation, the Steve Jobs. Like he's in that same kind of circle, I would say. He's in that same circle. And so because of that, anything the Steve Jobs, the Elon Musk do touch, right, something's going to turn from it. Even with Steve Jobs, right, he invented, or he was a creator of the company Next, and Next didn't really come to anything in and of itself that was of note. But Next ended up getting purchased because of him by Apple, and then it's actually what the current OS 10 operating system, Mac OS, was based off of. So there was still some significant impact, right? Anything that Steve touched, Elon touches. I think the same is true of Bram. So that's really what drew me to the take the risk and the speculative investment, right? I'm putting 5,000 towards something that I could go to nothing, in the next 6 months, or it could go really big. And so my kind of basis for my investment was based on a 3 to 5 year kind of timeline. And so I planned, I knew it was going to be a few years before it would launch. Initially, it was supposed to be the end of 2020. It got pushed to kind of early 2021. But I kind of had been following it for, like I said, close to 3 years and was ready to jump in and invest. And that was kind of how I assessed why. Why would I put my money here versus just buy more Bitcoin, or why would I not put it into something else, right? So for me, here's my kind of summation of my investment so you guys can have an idea. So for me, I based my current $5,000 investment into my the hardware that I'm using to farm and plot Chia based on a 5-year timeline. So my belief is that within 5 years, one Chia could be worth 5,000 USD. So basically, in 5 years, I believe that one Chia could be worth 5,000 US dollars. And so that's what I based my initial $5,000 investment on. So potentially, I could, 10 times my investment is what my investment strategy is based on. Now, again, that's totally speculation. I am not a professional. I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm simply giving you what my decision making was based on. And so just to be kind of aware, so this is kind of my synopsis of Chia specifically. Cryptocurrency in general, I think there is a lot of, today, there's, hundreds of this established market of all these different altcoins, or a lot of people would call crap coins compared to Bitcoin. I wouldn't disagree with a lot of that sentiment, but I would say if you look at a website like CoinMarketCap, where it's going to tell you the top like 100 cryptocurrencies, I would say anything in that top 10, with the exception of things that like are fads, right? There's a lot of times where it'll pop up and then go back down again. But anything that's been in that top 10 for the last 5 years, I would say it's probably at least will be around. It's not just going to disagree. I think of something like Litecoin that I may not believe in Litecoin, but I don't think it's going anywhere in the next 5 years. I don't foresee it just disappearing, if that makes sense. So I think of stuff like that where for me, currently, my only investments are in Bitcoin and now in Chia, but that I could see someone, buying some Monero or buying some Litecoin or something in that class where they're all pretty established kind of altcoins. I just don't believe in them, meaning I don't feel like they're necessarily that their strategy is something that I can get behind. Again, not that it's totally bunk or they're frauds, but I definitely think there are a lot of altcoins or crap coins that are totally frauds that are just kind of disguised as opportunities. And so just something to be aware of if you're just getting into cryptocurrency. So let me break down some of the things about Chia that are kind of distinct to it in relation to Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin's a good one to use for your reference. So here's another thing that's very unique about Chia as it goes into transactions being enabled at the beginning of May. At the beginning of May, Chia will only have approximately 360 some thousand tokens or coins in circulation. So the reason why that's significant is that the coins in circulation are what determine how many are available to buy and sell. So I can tell you for me, as someone who's been plotting and farming, that each coin is going to be pretty valuable. So right now, as of today, this is kind of in middle of April in 2021, I currently have around 12 Chia. So for me, if I've spent 5,000 so far in my investment, that my number to even consider selling any of them would be around $200. So for me, come transaction day at the beginning of May, I would not even consider selling anything for less than $200. And then for me personally, because of my strategy of over these 5 years, I'm planning to, the least I would probably sell even one would be like $2,500. So what that sets up is that the entire supply come day one for transaction is going to be made up of other people like me, people who are doing plotting and farming, and that's an investment. So to get a Chia, right, required some investment, and to get the 12 that I have had required about a $5,000 investment. So something to tell you that's very different from Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, when it launched in 2009, the group was so small of people who were invested in it, really just using it and running it was so small, and it was there was the opportunity to earn Bitcoin. You got a lot very quickly, and so because you just had few competition. Today with Chia, right, I have just right as of today, April of 2021, I've got at least 12,000 other competitors. In the early days of Bitcoin, you may have had 1,000 competitors. So the factors, are substantially different. Initially, Bitcoin was giving you, Bitcoin gave you 50 BTC for every reward. Chia is giving you 2 Chia for every reward. So again, the numbers are different, but Chia's every 18 seconds, Bitcoin was every 10 minutes. The difficulty adjusts for Chia every 24 hours, whereas with Bitcoin, even to today, it's every 2 weeks. Again, those are just some things to be made aware of. Also, as I've mentioned, Bitcoin today cannot be mined by just the average person or the average hardware, computer lying around. Whereas Chia, you can use on literally any computer that's within the last 10 years, really. So you can plot and mine or plot and farm. It's not going to be very efficient or very effective, but you can do it on something as old as 10 years old. So, and then lots of people are using Raspberry Pis, so they'll plot on something more advanced and modern, and then they'll farm on something as basic as a Raspberry Pi, which is pretty kind of amazing that is possible. So anyways, those are kind of my overview of Chia, kind of its history, its background, how it works kind of fundamentally, some of its distinctives, and then also kind of what it looks like in relation to Bitcoin, which I think is the only fully established cryptocurrency that's in the market, and that is I would say going to continue to grow. So again, that's kind of my overview of Chia. I'm going to continue to do more of these this series, my Bitcoin or Bust, and maybe I'll go into not just some of these other altcoins, but also applications, exchanges, ways to get into Bitcoin when Chia launches onto exchanges. I'm sure I'll do more Chia videos, as I myself is very invested in the platform and its success. And so I look forward to talking to you more soon.